Welcome to today's webinar where we will be discussing concepts and best practices for managing Oracle license compliance. My name is Daniel Galecki. I'll be one of the presenters in the webinar. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that the webinar is being recorded, and we will be providing a link to the recording after the webinar. So with that, my name is, as I mentioned, Daniel Galecki. I'm a Director of Product Management at Flexera. I have been involved in software licensing for better part of 10 years now. Working for Flexera for about 4 years now. And with me I have Jens Kradel. Jens, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. My name is Jens Kradel and I'm from Germany. I started into IT last millennium in the good old days of the mainframes. And in the last 10 years, I've focused on data center discovery and Oracle license discovery, but license management as well by tools. And we are, Flexera, are verified tools, so we are both of us related to the verification by Oracle. Thanks, Daniel. Up to you again.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of agenda, what we're going to do is we're going to cover just an overview of Oracle licensing, how Oracle typically licenses their applications, dive a little bit into the basics, the metrics that are commonly used by Oracle applications, talk a little bit about choosing right tools, and we'll in the last 2 sections we will focus a fair bit on Oracle database. This is a very important application. We'll also cover other applications, including middleware and business applications from Oracle, just to make sure that we cover a broad range of Oracle tools and applications. So with that, just from a licensing overview perspective, Oracle licensing philosophy is actually different from many other software vendors. And it's not bad, it's not good, it is different. And that difference sometimes is what creates challenges with licensing. Oracle uses basically open licensing methodology. And what that means is that customers, regardless of what parts, components of the solutions they license, they actually have access to all of the capabilities. And customers need to make sure that they license the features that they use. And this is different from many other vendors where typically if I only license a basic part of an application, I don't have access to advanced features. So from development perspective, I can't use those. I have to request access in order to be able to take advantage. With Oracle, Oracle actually wants you to take full advantage of the capabilities of their tools, so to provide open licensing, so when you install an application, you can use it to its fullest. The pitfall is that you may be using components that you haven't licensed. So this is a very important difference in terms of how Oracle licenses the applications. They do use a number of different metrics. Commonly for Oracle database middleware, it's either processor-based license or named user plus license. For other applications, it's either user-based licensing or usage-based licensing. Of course, depending on the specific tool that you're using, there could be other metrics that are based on the solution. And it's very important, again, to note that you need to make sure that you understand what is being used in order to understand your license consumption. And further to that, where the application is running, where it's installed, configured, can also have an impact on license consumption. And we'll dive into more details of that in the later part of the webinar. And of course, you need to keep in mind that things like company growth, so whether it's expansion into new geographies, mergers and acquisitions, can and likely will impact your license consumption. So you need to be aware of those activities. You need to make sure that you actually continue to check your consumption. Divestitures, which is the other part where you're actually splitting out part of organization to separate, will also have an impact on license consumption. And there's typically work in terms of making sure that you separate your contracts so that both the new organization being split out and the rest of the organization have the right consumption and have the right contracts. And finally, simply IT technology changes. Over time, you're going to adopt different technologies, and that can again have an impact on license consumption. And again, we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. Before we dive into specific topics, I also wanted to talk a little bit about choosing right tools. And Oracle applications and applications from many other vendors, so Oracle is not unique in this, in many cases requires very specific specialized capabilities. So just finding an installation of an application doesn't necessarily tell you what your license consumption is. So you do need to make sure that when you're researching tools, you're getting tools that can actually provide the right information to enable you license management. And Oracle, and I will give props to Oracle for this, a few years ago they started a Verified by Oracle program, and there are a few tools that are now verified by Oracle. And what that means is that Oracle LMS, or License Management Service organization, actually provides the scripts and information about how to collect the right usage information specifically for Oracle database. This is an active program, ongoing program, and I will disclose that absolutely Flexera, Flexera Manager Suite, as well as the eRunbook application that we have through our Brainware acquisition earlier this year, are both verified by Oracle. So we have access to those scripts. We collect the information. What's also important to note on this is Oracle Verified means that we will collect the right information to make an audit activity easier. But by itself, it doesn't mean that those tools automatically have all the calculations. So this is additional work that we do on top of collecting data through the formal tools. And the other options are, if you don't have verified tools and you do face an Oracle audit activity, Oracle LMS will actually provide you with those scripts as standalone, and they will request that you actually execute those scripts against your Oracle databases within the environment. And finally, and this could be an addition as well, you may need to manually input data into Oracle Server Worksheet. And before I move on, one more point. Does Oracle Verified Program work? And I can say yes, it does. I talked to a customer earlier this year who actually did go through an Oracle audit. They are a Flexera customer. And they actually surprised me by their comment. They said their Oracle audit was very simple. And it's because not only are they using the right tools, but they also have the right processes. They have mature implementation of our solution, so they know exactly what is happening. So the tools can definitely help, but by themselves, they aren't going to solve all the problem. And with that, I am going to hand the presentation over to Jens, who will talk about Oracle Database and some other licensing. Jens?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. I would like to go a little bit into details of database licensing and perhaps on one or two hotspot deep diving, but not too deep, not too long, and we always will come back to get some fresh air around. So Oracle database licenses based on two metrics. The one is a processor metric, which, to be true, is based on sockets in case of Standard Edition 2, and the named user plus metric. And there's one technical difference, not only by the name. All the stuff around the processors can be measured pretty good, but named user plus, the numbers of them cannot be measured, not by Oracle itself and not by a verified tool. It's just a list the customer provides. The components which are licensable for Oracle DB are the database edition itself, which are the Enterprise Edition, Standard Edition 2, and there's a Personal Edition as well on the price list. A lot of options, about 10 or 12, and a few management packs used by the Oracle Enterprise Manager, for example, for the central database management. So the main topic is to identify all the things needed for getting a proper license consumption calculation. This is the edition itself. It's an information about installation versus use of the options and management packs, which is a big difference. And there should be a view on the productional use or the non-productional use, high availability scenarios and failover, and one real major point, the used IT platform, which should be treated for physical servers, for virtual systems, and for cloud-based applications and usage. The bad thing is that we do not have a complete information about the how and what to count in all those scenarios. There are a few official papers from Oracle, but they are for educational purposes only and are not intended to be part of the license contract. This means there are technical informations. What should you do to get, for example, proper hard partitioning, and what should be calculated for cloud-based installations, but this is for educational purposes only. And the tools may help you to manage consumption on the ongoing basis. It's different to the audit where you get a one-shot with the Oracle scripts and you won't get the results directly. You only will get the list of defects where they say, hey, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, please check if everything's okay, what you have given us in your Oracle server worksheet. And the license rule may change based on where the software and the application is running. These are physical machines, just the bare metal that it's running on. Could be appliances from Oracle, for example, like the Oracle Database appliance or the Exadata family. Could be on virtual machines and could be on public clouds. The private clouds are just to be seen as the local virtual environments, but public clouds are different to be treated. And the installation license consumption rule may change by where you are running the system on, as a database on. Well, physical machines, that's simple. Just count processor, core of the physical machines, if it's a multi-core system, and you have to take into account the processor factor table, where Oracle tracks the power, the performance of each processor family, all over them: Intel, AMD, HP, Itanium, or Intel Itanium, the power CPUs as well. And in the appliances, the rules are different if it's correctly configured, they are treated as trusted partitions, and they have very special license rule, which is normally a good thing for the customer because they get a lot of performance, specialized for databases, middleware, and some other applications Oracle provides. Well, virtual machines. A lot of people are using virtual machines to size down the consumption of performance of calculation power and to give a big flexibility for high availability to move on virtual machines up to different physical machines or to other clusters or to other data centers. Oracle makes a difference between hard partitioning, which is capping the number of cores the OS sees. Capping means that there's no way to use more than the defined number of CPUs. And only very few virtualization technologies are usable for Oracle hard partitioning, which include the IBM LPAR logical partitions, HP NPAR and VPAR, Solaris zones, or the Oracle virtual machines x86 or Spark. And the choice of virtualization really makes a big impact on your license consumption. The opposite for the hard partitioning is soft partitioning, where all cores available on the host need to be included. And this applies for all other virtualization technologies, especially for VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, Xen, VirtualBox, and so on. Live partition migration, I should mention that, invalidates hard partitioning. Live partition migration or live migration is the use of a feature to move over a virtual machine somewhere else in some boundaries of the data center, the cluster, whatever it is. It's not allowed to use that on hard partitioned machines. And be sure Oracle tracks that in their audit files. Well, let's look about the special case for VMware. VMware is treated as soft partitioning, and you must count all cores of the underlying physical system layer. And this means, depending on the version of the vCenter software, the underlying system layer is the affected cluster for version 4.x, for 5.1 till 5.5. You have to count all cores of all EasyGlide servers in the vCenter, and from version 6 on, you have to count all cores in all vCenters. Yes, there are chances to get a deal with Oracle that you only can restrict your Oracle usage to a cluster if all applications are in a VMware cluster or to a vCenter. But this is your personal contract with Oracle. The common rule is take it all. And as capabilities of VMware change, I'm pretty sure that Oracle does not change the license rule. It just says, okay, if you can move over the whole world, count the whole world. Well, yeah, this should not happen. So, coming to clouds, Oracle names only 3 public clouds as authorized. This is the Amazon Web Services, it's Microsoft Azure, and the Oracle Cloud itself. And there are special license consumption rules for each type, for each brand of the clouds, mostly based on virtual CPUs, the virtual machine sees, and or the activation of hyper-threading. It depends on what you're using. So running Oracle DB on any other cloud environment will use soft partitioning licensing rules, which is count the complete cores of your underlying system layer. Coming to some pitfalls in the cloud. Today, it's not really possible to manage your Oracle software in the cloud, Amazon or Azure Cloud, by the Oracle Enterprise Manager on your premise. Second, if your cloud provider uses hard partitioning as specified by Oracle, you should check that. If not, it may result in the need to cover a lot of the cloud provider machines. Third, you should check if you have support from your cloud provider for moving your data and licenses out into a different cloud environment. Sounds simple, but seems to be not. An increasing number of customers says, I should have better done putting this question on the table to my old cloud provider. And there's a statement from Oracle concerning the unlimited license agreement that you may bring it in, but you cannot get it out at the certification at the end of the EULA termination point. Think about, please, before you do that. Now we come to other applications, and I would like to start with WebLogic. Well, WebLogic server is part of the Oracle middleware, Fusion middleware family, and there's no license file available since version 10.3, which is the end of the BEA times where Oracle bought software. It's available in 3 editions with different functional capabilities: a standard edition, an enterprise edition, and a WebLogic suite. And Oracle, unfortunately, doesn't provide an installer who tracks the type of the edition you are using. The used edition is determined by configuring and using different features or capabilities only. There's no chance to get a fast answer about which edition do I use. But on the other hand, there's a basic WebLogic server as a license-constrained version that's available for some of Oracle products like the Internet Application Server Standard Edition, Oracle Forms and Reports, or the Oracle Business Intelligence Standard Edition, not with the Enterprise Editions. What's coming with the Enterprise Editions is a different thing, and that's real complicated to identify what you are using. Down you see a link, Fusion Middleware Licensing Information for version 18, the actual one. And at the end of the slides, you will get 3 more link pages to the documents Oracle is providing for all the topics of database licensing, partitioning, and other things. The Java story. Java SE. Who's not affected? To make it simple, if you use any Oracle product that requires Java SE, you are already licensed to use that one time but for the sole purpose of running that Oracle product. And users of the products mentioned in the blue box are fine with it. A lot of them. It's not it's just an example. It's not exhaustive. And Oracle products which contain Java SE must be under maintenance or support. And you can have licensed SES directly, which is you can have a separate license for Java SE. There are a few recommendations to that. You should check how much Java you are using and where. Ideally, you have a tool to identify installations and running Java processes, and then you have to discover the software who is using the Java SE product, and then you might be good, because this third-party product is licensing SE as well. But the situation is changing because third-party vendors may change their license contract for the use and for support of Java SE. Some do have a contract with Oracle directly, but this is changing as well, and others tell customers in letters at the moment, we do not provide you a license for Java SE from beginning of January 2019. And yeah, thank you. Daniel, it's up to you now to go on with other products, please.
Okay. Thank you, Jens. And I know Java is a popular topic these days, so I see some questions about it, and so we'll do a Q&A at the end of our webinar. So let's talk about other applications. So Oracle eBusiness Suite, another very commonly used application. This application is actually a suite itself of different components, and that's something that's very important to understand, and understand how you are licensed for those components. Oracle EBS itself uses two basic types of metrics. So there's user-based metric, and there's different types of users that you may have. Whether it's concurrent, professional, I think there are 5 different types of users that could vary with the version of EBS and when you obtain the application itself. And there are usage-based metrics, and those could be things that are based on electronic order lines, company revenue, number of expense reports are processed. So depending on the feature capability that you're using, there could be a specialized metric for that. So this is basic licensing. And what's very important in terms of eBusiness Suite and other applications is what happens if you take EBS, you implement it with your environment, and decide to make any changes. So there are a number of components, so things like Oracle Internet Application Server, Oracle Database, Business Intelligence. So a number of different components are packaged. And basically what Oracle License says is that if you make any modifications, the included components may no longer be sufficient from licensing perspective. So let me give you a couple examples. You get eBusiness Suite and you go and say, look, I don't want to have a generic screen. I would like to put my logo on all the pages. In just that customization, putting a logo. So we're not making any fundamental changes here where we're creating new reports or forms. That in itself will actually require you to obtain a license for Oracle Internet Application Server. So even very basic changes they would consider, well, this is something very, very simple, can have licensing implications. If you decide that the data set that's being collected needs to be extended, so you add whether it's new tables or maybe add some columns within a table, the included application of Oracle Database will no longer be sufficient. So you'll have to license Oracle Database separately if you want to extend the data set that's being collected and used within your implementation of eBusiness Suite. And chances are if you're collecting other data, you're going to want to surface that data, so you're going to be customizing your forms, maybe creating new reports, so you're going to have to license additional components. And if you do have, so not just the Oracle Internet Application Server, but the BI Publisher that's included, if you're surfacing any of the extended data set, again, you will have to license that component separately because the included version is no longer sufficient. So it is, again, very important to make sure that you understand that, and it'll be very important that, to make sure that your organization understands that. If we look at other applications, so be it Hyperion, Siebel, and a number of others, again, they do have different metrics. A lot of them will use users or usage-based metrics. And in many of these tools, one of the potential ways to license the application may be by having the enterprise license model. And there are 5 metrics that Oracle has. and the revenue, cost of goods sold, employee, trainee, and full-time student. And those ones allow you to actually pay based on that metric, and you don't have to track individual users, track any other type of usage because you have the enterprise license model. So this is something that can be, if the application is widely used, can be very beneficial because it will simplify the amount of license management that you have to have. The one thing to keep in mind is you do have to provide annual reporting if you're using the enterprise license model. So I think it's typically within 90 days of renewal date, you'll have to provide Oracle with, if it's revenue-based metric, here is our revenue. And based on that, you are essentially certified and you renew your license agreement with Oracle for those applications. So, and I know we haven't spent in each one of those topics could probably be a webinar on its own, but we wanted to cover basics on a lot of different applications. And from conclusions, what's really important is that with Oracle you track not just the installations, but the usage. And a lot of times that usage is of components that are inside of the application. Obviously, if you're running Oracle database, and you can capture usage of the main process, but that process should be always running typically. So that's not going to give you insight. So you have to have more specialized tools to collect information about what options or management packs are being used within that. And those specialized tools are important. They will make your job easier, but again, you need to remember that a tool by itself will not prevent any unintentional compliance issues. It'll report what is, but it's not going to prevent an unintentional behavior from consuming other applications. And with Oracle and other tools as well, tools from other vendors as well, it is very important that IT professionals, one, are aware of licensing implications of work that they're doing, and that they should actually consult you as a license expert before they're implementing changes. So again, going back to the eBusiness suite, what seems like a very benign change, I just want to put my company logo on the screens, has licensing implications. So making sure that IT professionals, whether it's developers or the operations staff who may want to maybe move things around within your environment, they are aware that doing those operations can impact your license position, and they should always check before making changes to make sure that that license implication is considered as part of the decision to make any change before it actually is made. And Jens, I don't know if you have anything else that you'd like to impart.
No, thank you. Well done.
Okay. All right, and I'm sure we'll get more from questions. So before we go to Q&A, we have, and again, you will get materials after the webinar. So we've collected a few hyperlinks in here dealing specifically with Oracle database licensing for your reading pleasure, as well as information about other sources from Oracle. And finally, we have information about Flexera resources. So if you are a customer of Flexera, you have access to the best practice guide for Oracle. And this is something that we have developed based on our experience, our consultants' experience, our partners' experience, and some of our customer experiences to provide sort of a guide as to how do you manage license consumption for Oracle products using FlexNet Manager Suite in these cases. If you are interested in learning about our solutions, I have links to a couple pages on our website, and I always welcome you to go to our website, look for information there, and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have. And with that, we come to the very most interesting part of any webinar, and we wanted to make sure that we have ample time to answer any questions that you have. And I do see that there are a number of questions already in the queue. So let me maybe start with some questions. So not surprisingly, we have, and I'm just going to go in order that I see the questions. So is Flexera able to discover Java features, and if they are in use? So we are actually going through an internal audit to see where we have gaps in capabilities, specifically with Java, and some of the components, some of the things like usage, may be very complex to discover. So I won't say that we cover absolutely everything today. We're reviewing that right now, and our goal obviously is to make sure that we provide our customers with a full set of capabilities, and so we should have updates very, very shortly. And within our application recognition library, this is where we are discovering components of Java, and in some cases, again, sort of the case is similar to other applications from Oracle, where just finding the installation itself is not sufficient. We have to actually dig inside of the jar files and look for some very detailed evidence. So this is where we're still evaluating if we have any gaps and how to obviously close them. So we do know we have coverage, sort of in summary, in terms of Java. We are able to discover a lot of the components, but we do expect that there may be some gaps because not everything may be simple without cracking open the jar files and looking in specifics. On the usage, again, we're still investigating what the gaps are, but I expect that from a usage perspective, that may be again a very complex situation. We're in discussions with Oracle on this topic as well to see if they can provide us with any assistance. So next question, and I think this will be for you, Jens. So once you count physical cores for one virtual machine, does it apply for all virtual machines on that physical server?
Well, it depends a little bit on the partitioning you are using. If it's hard partitioned, then the answer is no. Each hard partitioned VM can be and should be calculated separately, but the maximum for that is if you already have counted all cores in number of the machine, and you stop there. You should not, you must not, and license more than the capability of the physical server. If it's soft partitioning, yeah, let's take, for example, VMware. If one VM has a database in it and has 8 hardware servers with it, we have to count all cores of all 8 servers, depending a little bit on the version of the vCenter. I just simplify, but you count all of them once, and that's it. And it doesn't matter if you have 5 VMs with database on it, or just 1 or 50. Count everything once.
Okay. And of course, if you do have follow-ups, please feel free to add questions into the follow-up. The next question, can you deploy home-written applications to WebLogic and have the WebLogic license cover the execution of your code?
Yeah, that's a no. In terms of if I understand your question right, if you get WebLogic as part of another product from Oracle, another Oracle product, then it's only and solely for the purpose of this product. You bought it. So if you write your own WebLogic programs, you need a separate license, Java SE. Or if you have perhaps already bought the license for the suite, this will work as well.
So basically, if you're using your own, if you're writing your own applications to run on a WebLogic server, you need to make sure that you have the right type of WebLogic license.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an interesting question. What partitioning breaks licensing?
What partitioning breaks licensing? To be honest, I do not understand that.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Partitioning is the basis for a type of license you choose.
So I think I think Oracle probably doesn't. I know they have a very extensive list of hard partition. So they have, I think, an explicit list of hard partitioning virtualization technologies that can use the hard partitioning rules. And the rules in there are that each virtual machine there has maximum capacity. And overall capacity cannot go beyond the physical machine on which the hard partitions are installed, right?
Right.
And if this is not one of the explicitly listed hard partitioning virtualizations, then everything else is considered to be soft partition.
That's correct. The magic word is capped. There's a need to cap the virtual machine for the use of the CPU power of the underlying hardware.
Okay. All right. Looking at additional questions. I am not already using Oracle database or other products. What are the rules for measuring and reporting? So I think if you're not using, but you're looking obviously at using, Oracle database or other Oracle products, this is something I would say you need to check the license documents to understand to understand what the licensing metrics are, so you understand how the components are licensed. And in terms of measuring and reporting, again, depending on a specific tool, you will have different set of capabilities. From Flexera perspective, obviously, FlexA Manager Suite has very extensive capabilities to help you manage your Oracle applications and other vendors' applications. But I think I'd also say that this is where you should seek advice of licensed experts. Oracle LMS themselves, they actually, typically, obviously they handle all of the audit activities, but they do have a consultancy part of it, so they can provide you with advice. Your Oracle account rep can provide you with advice. Flexera consultants or third-party consultants who have familiarity in the space can provide you advice. And I'm sort of very happy to sort of see this question. I haven't started using it. I want to be ready when I do, and I think that's very good that you're looking at what do I need to do, how do I need to measure before you actually start using it, because that can help sort of prevent the issues from happening on day one. But there are a number of resources, so whether it's Flexera, third-party partners, or even Oracle LMS themselves that can help you and provide you with advice. So next question. I see that Flexera has created some licensed bundles with Flexera created SKUs. What are Flexera's plans to increase, update these bundle suites? When I review the current list, there are a lot of gaps on how our company has purchased some products. So as far as I know, and again, I can double check afterwards, Oracle does not publish sort of SKU lists compared to IBM, where IBM publishes. It's very easy to get the license document from IBM website. Excuse me. So I believe these are something that we actually, based on our consultants' knowledge, working with customers, and just doing manual research, we attempt to create those. But basically, what I would recommend, obviously, is to reach out to our support organization. We have a very large content team that looks at improving the data set that we provide to help automate those activities. So it's something that we can definitely work one-on-one. So next question. For Java, is there a way to detect with Flexera which are standalone JDK installs and which are part of bundled solution like WebLogic Server? Excellent question. It is something I will need to double check on, but I would be surprised if we could. And the reason is the only way to automate would be if there was something different about the installation of the JDK. And I really expect that it is JDK. It just happens to come as part of WebLogic installation. So the only way you could determine that would be by manually going in and saying, okay, I have this JDK. It's actually not separately licensable because it came with WebLogic. I will double check, and I will get back to you later. But to be honest, based on my experience, not just with Oracle, but with other types of bundles, I would not expect that there is a way by anyone to automatically determine. You can infer it based on where it's installed, what else is present, but it's just an association, which may or may not be correct. So there's a follow-up to an earlier question, Jens. what regarding running custom code for WebLogic server. So what about WebLogic servers designed to run own code? So this one may be best, Jeff, if you can reach out to Jens directly, and I can attempt to, without destroying anything, let me go back to the contact page, see if we can load that. So I would suggest maybe that if you connect with Jens, we can get maybe more details on this. Next question, interesting question. Is it possible that Oracle LMS will provide scripts for Java features? Excellent, timely questions. We have not, so we are in contact with Oracle LMS. We have not seen any indication from them that at this time they are going to provide, at least the verified vendors, with scripts to identify Java features. And Jens, I don't know if you have sort of any other information on that.
Yeah, they provide the LMS collection toolkit if you run into an audit, and they collect some data about WebLogic, but this does not identify directly the edition you are using. So it's only collecting data about the installation, the configuration, and that's it. So there's no direct link as the extract of these tools, and you won't see that in the bunch of data that you have in addition, a special one installed and in use.
So Jens, the question was actually about, is it possible that Oracle LMS will provide scripts for Java features?
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
I said I'm not aware of anything right now. I just wondered if you
no,
were.
Nothing at all. Nothing on the horizon.
Okay. So next question was, we mentioned WebLogic in the different editions determined by features used. Is FNMS, FlexAim Manager Suite, able to identify where it is installed and what features have been used to identify the addition, sort of like Oracle database options, or not possible? So we are able to do some identification. Again, I'm not sure exactly of the specific limits, but I don't believe at this time we cover all of the use cases. But again, it's something that I can double check and then reply to you or provide the answer after the webinar. So it's definitely not as complete as with Oracle Database. We do it to a certain extent, but again, given that there is very little for us to determine what's actually being used, it's extremely difficult. So we have another, so this is again about customization. So SOA, our data modification code, does data modification code require another license? Not specifically familiar about SOA, so I would have to say this is something that it's likely, but I'm just not familiar with enough with specifics of SOA licensing. Jens, I don't know if you have anything.
No, I regret that, but
there?
I do not have on hand. No.
Okay. Please shed some light on named user licensing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first I would like to point you to a link to the so-called software investment guide, where you get some examples what to calculate and how to. So it's used for users. Users in terms of human beings or devices operated by human beings, and you have to take into account on these multiplexing facilities where users can access your database. And it's only to be used when you can count the number of users. If it's not countable, then you have to use processor metrics. Or if it's too expensive, use processor metrics as well. Hope this is the right direction you asked for.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably a good overview. So again, if you have follow-ups that you'd like to dive into a little bit more detail, our contact information is on the screen. And I know we're coming up to the top of the hour, so just looking at questions, maybe trying to see if there's...
May I just have one of the very last ones, Daniel, please? Sorry for interrupting you. There's one which seems to be of common interest, how to enable or disable options in packs, and which one can be enabled and which one can be disabled. I'm sorry, but it's like always, the Oracle of Delphi. Sometimes some of them can be disabled, enabled by tools provided by Oracle, and other ones cannot. So the big rule is if Oracle uses an option internally itself in the database, like partitioning, you cannot really disable it, uninstall it. You just can take care that your application is not using partitioning option, it's only Oracle. And the tools track that. FlexNet Manager tracks if a partition is created by a user or by like a so-called system user. Same with other options, or the pack, for example, the tuning pack, which is part of it is in use by Oracle internally, provide you some advisory, automatic advisories. But it's very tricky to distinguish between the features which are used internally or which are not used. So I'm not really sure what guidance I should give you to uninstall an option. If you don't use it, you should check that. Check if you're using an option. That's the only rule which is really guiding you to the point before destroying your database or your application by uninstalling an option which is needed internally.
And I think the other point, and I think we'll close the webinar with that, is so again, sort of to an earlier point that we made, that it's very important, for Oracle licensing and for other major vendors' licenses, to make sure that IT organization, your development organization are aware of license implications. Or if nothing else, they know to actually contact you when they're working with those tools to make sure that what they're trying to do isn't going to result in a significant change to your compliance position. So with that, I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. As I mentioned, we will be providing you with follow-up materials. We are going to go through the questions and respond to the questions. We couldn't get to all of them in this webinar. And if you have some specific that you'd like to engage us directly, feel free to, again, reach out to us. So thank you very much.